finding it a little bit.
This meeting is being recorded.
Should I join? I'm going to
Rabbi Dov Ber, it might be a little bit, the connection is not great. So if you have a backup phone or something like that, maybe you want to set it up just in case.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, amazing. Amazing.
Great. I'm ready to rant. So, someone said to me once, because I often teach at this time of the morning in New York and all over America and New Jersey, and someone said to me, how on earth do you do that? How do you get up at 3:30 in the morning? And my answer, I worked it out, was because I'm very incredibly focused on my goal. I know what I'm living for. And once you know what you're living for, and you're excited about what you're living for, it gives you immense vitality. And once you have immense vitality, you actually don't want to sleep so much. I actually gave a class yesterday to a group of like 18-year-olds, and I said to them, who finds it difficult to get up in the morning? And they all put up their hands. So I said, well, what if I offered you $50,000 to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Do you think you would? And they were like, yeah, definitely. And they were like, I won't go to sleep. I said, no, you have to get to sleep, but I'll give you $50,000. And they said, yeah, of course I get. So I said to them, so you actually don't find it difficult to get up in the morning. You just don't value what you're getting up for. Because once it's $50,000, or once you have to collect the guy or the girl of your dreams from the airport, you don't find it difficult getting up in the morning at all. And they're like, okay then, but I just don't have anything to value. And I said to them, well, how about valuing your life? And they were like, oh yeah, maybe. Isn't that funny? So what happened, I'll tell you very quickly what happened to me. There was this guy, he came to my class the other day and he said, hello, there are some familiar faces around here. Jean, hello Jean, how are you doing? I know some of you people. I shouldn't have said that because now I'm going to have to mention everyone I recognize. I'm just going to stick at that. But I do recognize some other people here, by the way. Don't think I don't know and love you personally. So someone came into my class the other day. I've got this big thing about living a great life. I think it's very important to at least try to live a great life, because most people live kind of mediocre lives. You ask people, I actually did this, so I went to university in England. I studied philosophy in university, and I had a little kind of dissertation. I used to go around and ask people how they are, how are you? And the top answers were like, can't complain, getting by, not too bad, could be worse, I want to kill myself. I was like, okay, that's great. And I realized, hold on, no one's living with any vitality. So I thought, I want to live a great life. Someone comes into my classroom and I said to them, are you going to live a great life? I'm going to ask you this question. How about that? Are you going to live a great life? Now, the number one answer to that question, people who come into my classroom, are you going to live a great life? The number one answer to that question is, I hope so. I hope so. Well, if you hope so, then you're not, because no one lived a great life by hoping. I get to sit on the couch and eat pizza and smoke weed and watch Netflix, and I'm just going to hope to live a great life. You're not going to work. Are you going to be a top tennis player in the top ATP tour? Well, I hope so. No, you're not going to do it then. This other guy came in, older, maybe 38-year-old, came into our class. I was like, what are you doing with your life? And he said, I'll just see where life takes me. I said, what are you, a jellyfish? Oh, look around you. Life's not taking you anywhere great. How many people do you know living with immense vitality and joy and peace of mind and self-respect and good relationships and meaning and depth and just aren't suffering from low self-esteem and anxiety and worry and fear and anger and doubt? I don't see where life's going to take you. Not taking you anywhere. you jellyfish. You got to be a shark, and you got to say, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to go. And I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to let my fear stop me. And I'm going to not let what other people think of me stop me. I'm just going to be the greatest person I can become. So, very important. What we're going to do, I'm going to tell you a very big secret here. A secret of success. Life just takes 3 things, 3 steps to live a great life. Number 1, identify and clarify the goal. What am I meant to do? What am I meant to achieve? Who am I meant to be? Number 2, work out the steps it's going to take in order to achieve that goal. Number 3, do those things. I'm brilliant. That is unbelievable, no? That's mind-blowing. What's the goal? What are the steps I need to take to achieve the goal? Do those things. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, thank you so much for having me. Good night. So you got to do that. Work out the goal. Work out the goal, live the goal. So what is the goal? Oh, sorry, I meant to be telling my story a little bit. So I grew up in England, not religious, went to Manchester University, and I studied philosophy. And I was a DJ, dance music, not EDM. We had vinyl, big round black things. GDM, good dance music it was. And I played in lots of clubs, and I did all the not so healthy things that can bring vitality to your life, but only for very short, intense periods until they wear off in the morning. And I realized I wasn't so happy, and I realized that no one around me was so happy. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to work out what to do with my life. And my grandfather died when he was 100. And before he died, he said, you don't want to regret your life. You don't want to get to 90, start looking back on your life and thinking, I just wish I'd not let what other people think about me affect me so much. And I just wish I'd spent just a little less time flicking through Instagram and TikTok. And he didn't actually say that, but you get the idea. I wish I'd been to the gym a bit more, and I'd worked out what is the key to happiness. And I invested in those things, and how do I have a healthy sense of self? And so he said to me, you can live your life from your age, that when you get to 90, you're not regretting your life. You're not looking back and thinking, I should have, I could have. You're thinking, amazing, I lived an amazing life. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And I looked at Western culture, and I was like, I just don't believe that they've got it right. There's something wrong there, because very few people are happy, and there's so much like divorce and depression and drugs and stuff. And I was like, that can't be right. I looked at Judaism on a very surface level, and I was like, that's not right either. Religious Jews, they're not even very nice. They don't benefit you, let alone actually be spiritual. And there are lots of things in the Torah that seem a bit strange to me. You think there's an angry man in the sky, and he's going to punish me if I don't do his silly little rules. And I've got to praise him the whole time. Wow, God, you're so great and holy. I'm thinking to myself, God, you're so insecure. You need me to spend all day praising you. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's just ridiculous. And so me, like any good Jewish truth seeker, having watched lots of Bruce Lee films, to be fair, I went and I lived in Asia for 6 years. I wish I could bring up some photos. I'm going to show you. So I wrote a book. You can all get it. Here are some photos of what I used to look like before you were born, children. Oh, I did lots of martial arts. I got a black belt in Taekwondo and a brown belt in Aikido. And I used to teach Buddhism. I speak Thai, Japanese, Hindi, and Korean. So I used to teach Buddhism to Buddhists. And then that's in Shaolin. I trained in Shaolin. And let me see what else. And a Pune base camp. I did lots of 10-day silent meditation retreats. I don't know if you've been silent for 10 minutes before, but this is why I can't stop talking now, by the way. And this is me working in an orphanage. Guess which one's me? It's actually this one. It's that one. I just look very different with a beard now. So anyway, so I lived in Asia for 6 years. Doing meditation and martial arts and teaching English and working in orphanages. And I just really thought to myself, I got to work this out. I got to work out what I want to do and who I want to be and what are my values and what is life all about and what is the key to happiness and what is the key to self-esteem and what's everything all about. So I'm going to share some of the ideas I learned with you because I think they're really, 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 really important. The first thing that I learned is, and this is very, very important, your whole experience of life is completely dictated by what's going on in your mind. Another way to say that is your thoughts create your reality. If you're having sweet, uplifting, non-judgmental, compassionate, wonderful, loving thoughts, you're going to be having a good experience of life. And if you're having negative, angry, hateful, judgmental thoughts, you're not going to have a good reality, dictate how you're doing. And now that's actually a very good thing. I'll tell you why that's a very good thing, because you can be in control of your thoughts. You don't have to be a victim to what's going on in your head. You can start learning to control what's happening in your head. It's like, imagine you got that voice in your head. From the second you wake up in the morning to the second you go to sleep at night, there's a voice in your head. So you wake up and the voice is like, oh no, I can't believe it's already like 9 o'clock whenever you wake up. And I'm not looking forward to today, and I have to do that, and I can't believe I did that last night, and what do people think of me, and I hope he likes me, and I hope she writes to me, and then you got another voice in your head which is like, no, come on, get up, you can do this. And then you got another voice in your head, is your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend being like, oh, no. Then you got your father's voice in your head, I'm not proud of your son. And it's like, you just got loads of voices in your head. And then if you realize, so imagine, and it doesn't stop all day. It comments on everything all the time, you know. What am I going to have for lunch? Or is that a bit fattening? Do I have enough money to have that for lunch? There's a dog. I love dogs, and that dog reminds me of my ex-girlfriend's dog. I hate my ex-girlfriend. I hate myself. So imagine you put that voice that's in your head, and you gave it a body, and that body is a person. It just walked around speaking to you all day. You'd kill it. You just, after like a minute, you'd shoot it in the head. You'd be like, leave me alone. Now you can't really do that with your head. So what most people do instead is just smoke weed and watch Netflix. It's like, I get to get rid of this voice in my head. And it doesn't work, because eventually the weed kind of wears off a bit and the Netflix finishes, and then you got to write on Facebook, you got to like, oh, I've run out of Netflix series, please send me suggestions. And they're like, have you seen The Spy, Sacha Baron Cohen? And you're like, how? I've seen that, help. And it's like, ooh, Game of Thrones, and now you got to do it. You're like, I haven't had my coffee yet, don't talk to me. It's like, what's going on? Wake up, live an amazing life. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do that by calming and controlling that voice in your head and just turning it into something really nice. Just say really, really, really nice things. I want to tell you the number one rule. And this is the number one rule in relationships as well. And it's just the number one rule in parenting as well. It's the number one rule in everything. You ready for this? Don't be negative. Don't put the other person down. My wife and I, it's coming up to our anniversary. We've been married for nearly 14 years. 14 years. We have not had one argument in 14 years. Why have we not had one argument in 14 years? Because we never, ever, ever, ever speak to each other. That's not true. You know why we haven't had one argument in 14 years? Because we use a crazy, Kabbalistic, psychological tool. It's a crazy idea. I know it's crazy, but I am going to say it. It's called grown-up communication. We communicate like grown-ups. We don't argue. It's a crazy idea. And do you want to know the number one rule of grown-up communication? We never, ever, 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 ever put each other down. We just don't do that. And do you know why we don't do this? And this is another I hope you're writing this down, by the way. It's very important. This is another crazy idea. Do you know why we never put each other down? Because it doesn't work. It doesn't help. It doesn't do anything for the relationship. Why would you do something that doesn't help? It's crazy. It doesn't work. Imagine you have a big gash on your arm and it's open and it's bleeding. Would you scratch it? No. Why not? Because it doesn't help. In fact, it makes it worse. So if you have a bit of a problem in your relationship, are you going to put the person down and shout and argue about it? Don't do that. It doesn't work. You're just making it worse. By the way, this is a very big key in your life. If it doesn't work, don't do it. See, I'm brilliant. This is why they bring me on to speak, because I'm telling you unbelievable things that you could never have thought of yourself. If it doesn't work, don't do it. If you have an exam on Monday and the results are coming out on Friday, do you spend all week worrying about the results? Well, how does that help? Is that going to change the results? No, don't do it. That's harder because you've got to learn how to not worry, but that's learning to deal with your thoughts and emotions, which I'm going to teach you one day. Very important. Is this the group everyone's coming to Israel this summer? No? Israel trip this summer? Well, let's do that. We'll talk about that. Come and hang out with me and my wife for the summer, at least. Come for 2 weeks at least. And let's ramp up your life. How about this? You're waiting for the bus, you're late for your meeting, and the bus isn't coming. Do you get really, really frustrated? Well, how does that help? That makes the bus come, does it? I think so. Don't do things that don't help. Brilliant. Brilliant. Number one key to being a rational, happy human being. Don't do things that don't help. So there we go. Our first lesson that we need to take this morning, is that your thoughts control your emotions, and then your emotions feed back into your thoughts. When you're not feeling good, you start thinking more negative thoughts. So you can start taking control of your internal world. And very, very important. Here's the other major piece of wisdom I feel you need to hear. Most people are relying on the external world for their happiness and their self-esteem. If I get recognition, if people like my Facebook post and my Instagram post and my TikTok and my WhatsApp, my Snapchat and my LinkedIn and my Twitter, if people like give you a thumbs up or a heart or something, I kind of feel good about myself. If I've got the right car and the right job and it's the right weather and my football team wins, then I feel happy. That means you're a complete slave to the external world. And in general, you can't control the external world. So you're just a slave. If your happiness completely depends on things going your way. By the way, that's what people think happiness is. Happiness is the feeling I get when things go my way. How do I know that? Because when my football team wins, I feel happy. And when they lose, I don't. And when it's the weather I want, I'm happy. And when it's not, I'm not. And when I get the bus, I'm happy. And when I miss the bus, I'm not. And when people say nice things to me, I'm happy. And when they say not nice things to me, I'm not. So that's why no one's ever happy, by the way, because if your definition of happiness is the feeling I get when things go my way, you're going to spend your whole life trying to make things go your way. And that's not going to work because things aren't always going to go your way. And secondly, even if they do go your way, it won't make you a happy person. It will just make you feel a bit good for a little bit. If you get the car of your dreams, do you think you're now going to be a happy person? No way. You're going to feel a bit better for 10 days. And then you're going to start thinking I could have got a different car. And someone's going to scratch my car. And people only like me because of my car. And I'm not going to make you happy. You got every outfit you could possibly imagine in your wardrobe. That's going to make you a happy person. Do you think the rich people are the happiest people? They're not the happiest people. So stop trying to get the external world to live up to your expectations in order for you to be happy. These kids that I worked with in Sri Lanka and India, they had polio. and they had one meal a day, and they didn't have parents, or they had alcoholic parents, and they were happier than most of the people I know, most of the people I grew up with. And we're in the top 2% of privileged people on the face of the planet, and they're in the bottom 2% of privileged people on the face of the planet. So it's clearly not your external environment and your material wealth that is bringing happiness, because they're doing much better than us. There's really one key to happiness. Do you want to know the key to happiness? That's fun. Yeah? Everyone wants to know the key to happiness? Authentic, real happiness? If you have this one thing, you'll be happy, no matter what your circumstances. And if you don't have it, you won't be happy no matter what your circumstances. You might have everything you want and need and everything, but if you don't have this one thing, you won't be happy. That is, you're ready for this? Write this down. This is very important. This is what you've been looking for your whole life. The key to happiness. If you have it, you're happy. If you don't, you're not. Alcohol. Really? Because no matter how much pain you're in and how broken you are, if you drink enough, you can just black out, basically, so you don't have to face that. And then when you kind of come to in the morning somehow, and you realize you're lying in your own vomit and you're just broken, then all you have to do is you can drink more, and then you'll pass out again, and you never have to face the reality of your life. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for coming to Masora's Wednesday night wisdom and whiskey and weirdness. And I'll speak to you when you come to Israel in a couple of months for a couple of years. That would be great. Bye. Okay, here's a different idea. You can write that one down, but I'm going to give you a different answer to the key to happiness. And that is having a positive attitude. Having a positive attitude to life. And what does it mean to have a positive attitude to life? Well, there you go. Thanks, Ashley. Having a positive attitude to life. How do you define positive attitude? Positive attitude means I'm going to focus on the good. I'm going to look for the good in myself. I'm going to look for the good in my environment. I'm going to look for the good in my situation. I'm going to look for the good in other people. I'm really going to focus on looking for the good. But I'm not going to have toxic positivity, which means I'm just going to say everything's good, because that's not true. But I am going to focus on the good and be conscious of the good. And the bad things and the challenging things in my life, I'm going to acknowledge them, and I'm going to feel my pain, and I'm going to cry if I need to do that. But I'm not going to be a victim to those things, and I'm going to use those things to grow and to develop myself and to become a more patient person. And I'm going to use my pain to help other people. So I'm not going to be a victim to my pain, but I'm open to feeling my pain. So here we go. Positive attitude, focus on the good, and grow from the bad. That's it. Now, you've got to train yourself to do that, by the way. You've got to train yourself because of your nature and your nurture. Some people are more prone to anger and anxiety, and some people are more chilled out. Some people had a spoiled childhood. Some people had an abusive childhood. Whatever it is, you've developed your attitude to life over the last however many years, however old you are. So you can be a victim to that and say, well, this is just who I am, and it's my parents' fault, and it's God's fault for giving me these character traits. Or you can say, no, it's not who I am. It's what I have to deal with in order to become a great person. I have to overcome my challenges. I have to overcome my nature and my nurture, and I have to use that to become a great person. That's it. So it's really up to you. It's amazing, because your success and happiness in life has got nothing to do with anything in the external world and what other people think of you and what happens, and it's out of your control. In fact, it's all completely up to you. You can take control of your life in every way. Very good. Just start working on developing a positive attitude. So what was the positive attitude that the kids in India and Sri Lanka had that we don't seem to have? Gratitude. They really appreciated everything we did for them. They're sharing one pencil between 5 children, and I stole their pencil. They were sharing one pencil between 5 children. I bought them each a pencil. They couldn't believe it. It was the best day of their life. They're like, I cannot believe I have my own pencil. Amazing. And we're like, if only I had a better phone and a better body and a better boyfriend and a better job and a better relationship with this. And I'll be happy when this happens. And if this happens, then you'll never be happy. How about just really fully appreciating all the wonderful things you have in your life? And those difficult, bad things, once again, I'm not saying ignore them. I'm not saying ignore them, but I work on them. Work on them, cry, feel your pain, go and use them to become great. Bezrat Hashem. That's a major key. Here's another major key. How long do I have, by the way? Because I could just keep on talking forever. Once you do lots of 10-day silent meditation retreats, afterwards you just cannot stop talking. I just can't stop talking. Can you imagine me being silent for 10 days? I was standing there. I was in the temple. After about 4 days, my job in the temple was to water the plants in the temple. So after about 4 days, I just talk to the plants. I'd be like, okay, bye. I'll see you tomorrow then. Like, oh, I hope the monk didn't see me. Very, very, very important to learn that you can start calming your mind down. And once you're thinking in a calmer way, then you can deal with life in a healthier way. Are there any questions? Otherwise, I'll just carry on ranting. I kind of would like to open it up for some interaction here. You can either unmute yourself or you can type in the message thing.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, do you have any methods you recommend of calming a person's mind down?
Ooh, I paid him to ask that one. Rabbi Dov,
Yes,
just
I
so
do.
you know.
Yeah. I'm going to give you an answer that you would not expect, I think. Because very often meditation techniques, when you're particularly not calm, just don't work. It's very hard when you're very stressed and you're very frustrated or you're very upset or something, to tell you to sit and breathe very deeply and focus on your breath. And when your mind wanders, don't beat yourself up and don't get frustrated and just return your attention to your breath. I just gave you a good method, by the way. It's very hard to do that. So one of the best ways to calm your mind down is through your 5 senses. Through your 5 senses. Because those are more kind of grounded and practical and available. And you've got to understand that you're being bombarded all the time. You're hearing car horns beeping, and it jolts you a little bit, and people are arguing with each other, and you're reading crazy headlines of horrible things happening, and you're watching sex and violence, and you're bombarding your senses basically with lots of stuff that is not conducive to being calm. So what you can do is you can start using your 5 senses as a gateway to calmness. For example, you can smell lavender oil, essential lavender oil. You can have a hot bath. You can listen to soft music. You can drink chamomile tea. You can use your senses as a pathway to calming your mind and your body. And then once you're in that calmer place, you can start more breathing techniques. And as I said before, the main basic meditation technique would be to just try and focus on your breath coming in and coming out. And if you haven't done this before, what's going to happen is after about a quarter of a second, your mind's going to freak out. I can't do this. I don't know how long this is going for. I got that email. I can't believe she said that to me. I can't believe I do that. And all you have to do is, as soon as you notice your mind freaking out, you just have to smile. Rather than getting frustrated with yourself and frustrated with the voice, which is just giving it more power, just to smile and say, okay, I caught you. I'm going to bring my attention back to my breath. And you start focusing on your breath coming in and coming out. And after about a quarter of a second, your mind's going to shoot off again. And you just got to spend a few minutes bringing your mind back until you get much better at just focusing on your breath and your mind not wandering so much. But it takes a bit of time. But that's what I'd do. And if none of that works, then just smoke a fat joint.
Very nice.
Thank you. By the way, Don't do that. Don't do that. It's a very temporary fix, and it actually ruins it in the long term, because once you're smoking lots of weed and stuff, it's actually damaging your power of thinking day to day. You're just not thinking with as much vitality and clarity and stuff. Maybe in the moment you feel a bit better or a bit calmer, but it's an escape and a temporary fix that is actually recreating the problem. So don't smoke weed. Do ayahuasca instead, because that's got much more powerful, intensive, transformative effect.
Yeah.
Don't do that either. That was the joke as
Do you know
well.
any good shaman for that?
Next
Yeah.
question.
You'll talk to me after. Thank you, Marty. Marty knows when to stop talking. Next question, please, children of the Lord. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nהיה b'dvarei.
Amen. Rabbi Dov Ber, I mean, I think I could ask a question. Is it possible we could do a quick minute meditation or 2-minute meditation? Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, but just because it's actually quite easy to do, I'd rather encourage someone else to ask a question. If really no one does, then we can do that.
Okay, sounds good.
And because what we could really do is, after I answer the question and we try to tap into a little bit more wisdom, Ashley could lead a meditation. She's very experienced. But really what you'd have to do is sit up straight and try and follow your breath coming in and going out. And when your mind starts to wander, you bring it back. Yes, Issa, Kabir.
It's great to see you again, Rabbi. It's always
great
a
to see you.
So
it's great to see your name.
My question is, what place does like Eastern philosophy have within a Jewish person's life? Because there's a lot of Jewish people who kind of go to Eastern philosophy and stuff like that, kind of talking about meditation. What value and what place does Eastern philosophy have in a Jewish person's life?
Oh my goodness, did someone pay you to ask that question? Brilliant. I'm going to tell you an answer that I have found, having spent 6 years in Asia practicing and teaching Buddhism mainly, and then now spending the last 15 years in yeshiva, that any wisdom of use or from the Eastern world, Eastern philosophy, we have it in Judaism. It's just that very often it's more covered up. I don't know if anyone's read the book, The Untethered Soul. There's another book, The Power of Now. These are very, very good kind of spiritual books. And they're not quite fully accurate and true. I've actually written a commentary on The Untethered Soul, which is one of my favorite books. But the wisdom there is put in such a easy to understand and good way. Whereas in the Torah, it's often covered up in ancient texts and Kabbalistic ideas. So we just need to present Judaism in a better way. Because me growing up as a secular Jew, as I said, I looked at Judaism and I was like, it just seems ridiculous. So we don't actually believe there's an angry man in the sky, by the way. Whew, it's an angry woman. And that's much better because it's much more, it's not an angry man. We believe that God is the divine conscious creator and sustainer and above and beyond all of reality. But by the way, if that's what God is, if God is everything, all consciousness, which quantum physics is coming to say that life matter is actually made up of consciousness, whatever, we can talk about that another time, then what are you? You are a piece of God. Chelek Elokah mimah. You're a piece of God. And if you're a piece of God, firstly, you can't have low self-esteem anymore. But secondly, when you're praying and you're saying, God, you're so great, and you're not talking to an insecure man in the sky, you're saying, I'm part of something great. I have divine potential in my life. So Eastern philosophy, I found, was immensely kind of enlightening. However, we do have it in Judaism. And for example, many people don't know this. Buddha teaches that you don't have a soul. That was one of his major he broke away from Hinduism. Hinduism, there are many, many, many different schools of Hinduism, but they all believe that you have a soul, you are a soul. Buddha says you're not. So a Jew who gets into Buddhism, and it's a lovely idea, and the meditation's great. I love my Buddhist masters still. Is actually taking them far away from the essence of Jewish spirituality. One other little idea, big idea actually, between Jewish and Eastern spirituality is generally the Eastern paths believe in renunciation of the physical material world. And you can only really be spiritual if you get away, you cut yourself off from that. So a Buddhist monk doesn't get married, and they don't have any money, and they sleep on the floor, and they don't eat after 11 o'clock in the morning, and they basically go and live in a cave or a temple and cut off from physicality. In the West, it's kind of the opposite. It's all about money and sex and power and physicality, really. Judaism, and this is why Israel is in the middle of the East and the West, say no, actually true spirituality is to be found in the physical and material world, in engaging in it, but in a very, very high level of consciousness, to do it in moderation and with the right kavanah, which means the right intention. So physical intimacy is okay, just with the right person at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. And you can be very rich, but don't get your sense of self based on your money, and give at least 10% of your money away to charity. And you can eat nice food. Just make sure it's kosher, and say a blessing before you eat it, and say a blessing after you eat it. So, and it's much harder to do, by the way. This is why Buddha said it was very hard to do. You can't be in the physical world in a highly conscious way because it drags you down. And he was right in a way. You look around you, and most people are dragged down into that world. Torah teaches no, there is a way to be in the physical material world, but on a very, very high conscious. I'm not saying every religious Jew is doing this, by the way, but the system is set up that we can engage in physicality and be in the world, yet be doing it on such a high level of consciousness that we're uplifting the physicality to be spiritual itself. Oh, I've run out of time already.
All right. I mean, you can keep going. I mean, I think we're okay if you keep going. What did we say? 10:30? Oh, 9:30. Oh, okay. I missed that memo.
I've got loads. This is like when we start my day here. I've got lots to do now. I can take one more question though, because I like you guys. Are there one more question? Anything?
I see some people who want to, but they look shy. Maybe we should just pick somebody.
Come on. Rebecca, will you ask me a question, please?
Yeah, sure. How do you go about making the steps in order to change the mindset to look more positively?
Lovely. There are a few secrets to this. The first secret is to believe in yourself in the process. To believe that this, because if you're like, it's too hard, I can't do this, and you kind of give up before you start, it's hard. So say, you know what, hear these ideas, and the next step is to really, 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 really want it. It's called the power of Ratzon in the Torah. You've got to really want it. So, for example, if you go up to someone and say, do you want to win the gold medal in the Olympic Games? And they say, yeah, I wouldn't mind. They're not winning the gold medal in the Olympic Games. You can't. You got to really want it. So you've got to say to yourself, I really, really, really want to start changing. I really want to start thinking better. I really want this. And why do this? Because it gives you everything you want. It gives you happiness and self-esteem. And I'd like to give you a whole class, by the way, on self-respect and self-love. I think is very important. So once you want something enough and you see it as a goal, then you need to start consciously putting in some time in your day to doing that. So for example, I'm not talking about you personally, watching 2 hours of Netflix and whatever, you watch 1.5 hours of Netflix, half an hour of a TED talk talking about calming your mind. Rather than just reading the news, you'd read blog posts, 10 top ways to develop more patience in your life. So I kind of made a joke at the beginning. You have to identify your goal and then work out the steps to get there and then do it. And I said it jokingly, but it really is kind of that simple. So if you say my goal is to become a more patient person or a more loving person or a calmer person, then that's a great goal to have. And then you just have to invest in, well, how do I do that? And you can look that up and you can ask advice. And you got Rabbi Lewis, who's he's one of my favorite Jewish educators, because I think everyone cares about the people, but look at him, he's just a sweet, loving man. And he wants to be there for you. So anytime, you could call him up and say, what should I do? 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, he's there for you. He loves me. But I'm being serious. You put in, you got to start committing to. Now, the last part is then to actually do it, and that's the hard bit. 3 steps: identify the goal and really want it, work out how to achieve it, and the last step is did you take a few minutes to meditate today? Did you take a few minutes to do some exercise today? And the other very little thing I want to say is you got to take on very, very small goals. Don't say, right, I now need to meditate for 2 hours and go to the gym for 3 hours. So I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes and I'm going to go for a walk in the park and I'm going to just do things that I know are good for me. Invest in yourself. All right. I got around 2, Gene.
Okay. Thank you, Rabbi Dov Ber. Thank you so much. So nice to see you.
I'm going to put my email address.
Yes, I'll send everything out.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Dov Ber, as always.
Did it look
amazing?
Okay, we will see you all next. I'll see you all this Sunday for the barbecue. And next Wednesday as well. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.